Todd is P1. YH8 Racing is 4th. Best lap is a 1:15.313. Jason Short is 2nd. Best lap is a 1:14.307. Chris Butt is P3. YH8 Racing is 4th. Todd from New Zealand is P1. Jason Short is 2nd. Todd from New Zealand is P1. Jason Short is P2. Todd is P1. YH8 Racing is 4th. The qualification session is at racetrack in Nunn, Japan. The race dictator from New Zealand is first on softs. Jason Short from New Zealand is P2 on softs. The race dictator is first. YH8 Racing from New Zealand is P4 on softs. The race dictator is P1. Ten minutes remaining in the session. The race dictator improved his first with a 1:14.087. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 1:13.948. Jason Short is P1. Chris Bunnett from New Zealand is P5 on softs. The race dictator is second. Best lap is a 1:14.087. 0.139 off pole. Todd from New Zealand is third on softs. Best lap is a 1:14.423. 0.475 off pole. The race dictator is P2. Chris Bunnett is P5 up 0.30 on softs. The race dictator is second. The race dictator is provisional pole with a 1:13.789. Chris Bunnett is P4 up 0.13. Todd is third up 0.17. Chris Bunnett is P4 up 0.42. Todd is P3. Todd improved his third with a 1:14.262. 0.473 off pole. Chris Bunnett is P4. Todd is P3. Best lap is a 1:14.262. 0.473 off pole. Five minutes remaining in the session. Jason Short is second up 0.11. Todd is third. Todd improved his P3 with a 1:14.025. 0.236 off pole. Jason Short is second up 0.41. Jason Short is provisional pole with a 1:13.658. The race dictator is P2. Best lap is a 1:13.789. 0.131 off pole. Jason Short is first. Best lap is a 1:13.658. YH8 Racing is P5. YH8 Racing improved his P5 with a 1:15.684. 2.026 off pole. Chris Butt is P4. YH8 Racing is fifth. YH8 Racing improved his P5 with a 1:15.474. 1.816 off pole. Chris Butt is P4 on softs. Chris Butt improved is fourth with a 1:14.554. 0.896 off pole. Jason Short is P1. YH8 Racing is 5th. Best lap is a 1:15.474. 1.816 off pole. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Todd is P3 on softs. Best lap is a 1:14.025. 0.367 off pole. YH8 Racing is 5th. Broadcast Bot is 20th on softs. The race session is at racetrack in Nunn, Japan. Jason Short is P1. The race dictator from New Zealand is P2 on softs. Todd from New Zealand is 3rd on softs. Chris Butt from New Zealand is 4th on softs. YH8 Racing from New Zealand is 5th on softs. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Todd is P2. The race dictator is P3. Todd is P2. Chris Butt is P4. Todd is P2. The race dictator is 3rd on softs, 0.9 behind Todd. Todd is 2nd, 0.7 behind Jason Short. The race dictator on lap 2 is 2nd, 0.6 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short from New Zealand is P5 on softs, 0.9 behind YH8 Racing. The Race Dictator is P2 on softs, 0.9 behind Todd. YH8 Racing is P5, 0.1 behind Jason Short. The Race Dictator is P2, 1.0 behind Todd. YH8 Racing is 5th, 0.5 behind Jason Short. YH8 Racing was 3.5 faster last lap. The Race Dictator is 2nd, 0.9 behind Todd. YH8 Racing is 5th, 1.2 behind Jason Short. The Race Dictator is P2, 0.8 behind Todd. YH8 Racing is 5th, 1.7 behind Jason Short. The Race Dictator is 2nd, 0.5 behind Todd. "15 minutes remaining in the session. Jason Short is P4. Best lap is a 1:14.268. 0.161 off the fastest lap. The Race Dictator on lap 5 is 2nd, 0.7 behind Todd. Jason Short is 4th, 0.8 behind Chris Budd. Jason Short passed Chris Budd for P3. The Race Dictator from New Zealand is P2, 0.4 behind Todd. Chris Budd is 4th, 1.9 behind Jason Short. Jason Short was 2.1 faster last lap. The Race Dictator is 2nd, 0.4 behind Todd. Chris Budd on lap 6 is 5th, battling YH8 Racing. Chris Budd passed YH8 Racing for 4th. The Race Dictator is 2nd, 0.3 behind Todd. Jason Short is P3. Chris Butt entering the pits is P1. Jason Short is now third. The race dictator is third, 0.4 behind Todd. The race dictator is now second. Chris Butt exiting pits on softs. Jason Short is third. The race dictator is second, 1.4 behind Todd. Jason Short is third. The race dictator is P2, 0.9 behind Todd. Jason Short is P3. The race dictator is second. Best lap is a 1:13.950. 0.384 off the fastest lap. Jason Short is third, 2.1 behind the race dictator. Ten minutes remaining in the session. The race dictator is P2 on softs, 3.0 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is P3, 3.1 behind the race dictator. Jason Short was 5.8 faster last lap. The race dictator from New Zealand is P2, 3.5 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is third, 3.3 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is second, 3.4 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is third, 3.6 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is P2, 3.2 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short from New Zealand is third, 3.8 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is P2, 3.8 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is P3. Best lap is a 1:13.566. The race dictator from New Zealand is second, 3.2 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short on lap 11 is third, 3.6 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is second, 2.9 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is P3, 2.8 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is second, 4.6 ahead of Jason Short. Five minutes remaining in the session. Jason Short is P3, 4.5 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is second, 4.6 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short on lap 13 is third. The race dictator is P2, 4.9 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is P3 on softs, 3.4 behind the race dictator. The race dictator from New Zealand is second, 3.1 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is third. The race dictator is second, 2.1 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is third, 2.5 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is P2, 2.1 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is third on softs, 2.3 behind the race dictator. The race dictator is P2. Best lap is a 1:13.896. 0.330 off the fastest lap. Jason Short is third, 2.0 behind the race dictator. Todd is second, 0.5 ahead of Jason Short. Jason Short is P3, 0.5 behind Todd. Jason Short was 0.8 faster last lap. The leader has just finished the race. The race dictator finished P1. Todd finished second. Chris Butt finished fifth. Jason Short finished third. YH8 Racing is fourth. YH8 Racing finished fourth. Broadcast bot is sixth. The race session is at racetrack in Nunn, Japan. Chris Butt from New Zealand is P1 on softs. YH8 Racing from New Zealand is P2 on softs. Jason Short from New Zealand is third on softs. Todd from New Zealand is P4 on softs. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. Todd is now second. YH8 Racing is third. Todd is P2. YH8 Racing is P3. Chris Butt is P4. Todd is second. YH8 Racing is P3, 0.8 behind Todd. Todd is P2 on softs, 0.9 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt is fourth, 1.4 behind YH8 Racing. Todd is P2, 1.6 behind Jason Short. YH8 Racing is third, 3.0 behind Todd. Todd was 2.3 faster last lap. Todd is second, 1.8 behind Jason Short. The race dictator from New Zealand is fourth on softs, 2.0 behind YH8 Racing. Todd is second, 1.5 behind Jason Short. Jason Short was 0.8 faster last lap. The race dictator is fourth, 1.0 behind YH8 Racing. The race dictator was 2.7 faster last lap. Todd is P2, 1.5 behind Jason Short. race dictator is P4, 0.5 behind YH8 Racing. Todd is P2, 1.9 behind Jason Short. 15 minutes remaining in the session. YH8 Racing is 4th, 0.4 behind the race dictator. The race dictator was 2.7 faster last lap. Chris Butt entering the pits is P5. Todd is P2, 1.7 behind Jason Short. YH8 Racing is P4, 1.1 behind the race dictator. Todd is second. Best lap is a 1:14.161. 0.443 off the fastest lap. Todd passed Jason Short for first. Chris Butt is P5, 1.0 behind YH8 Racing. Jason Short is second, 2.2 behind Todd. The race dictator is P3, 3.7 behind Jason Short. Jason Short is second, 1.8 behind Todd. The race dictator is P3, 3.7 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt entering the pits is fifth. Jason Short is second, 1.4 behind Todd. The race dictator on lap 7 is third, 4.1 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt exiting pits on softs. Jason Short is P2, 1.0 behind Todd. The race dictator is P3, 1.0 behind Jason Short. Jason Short on lap 8 is P3 battling the race dictator. Jason Short lost P3 to YH8 Racing. race dictator is P2, 4.1 behind Todd. Jason Short is P4. Best lap is a 1:13.943. 0.225 off the fastest lap. 10 minutes remaining in the session. The race dictator on lap 9 is second, 3.9 behind Todd. The race dictator was 0.9 faster last lap. Jason Short on lap 9 is 4th, 1.3 behind YH8 Racing. The race dictator from New Zealand is second, 4.0 behind Todd. Jason Short is 4th, 0.4 behind YH8 Racing. YH8 Racing was 11.9 faster last lap. YH8 Racing is P4, 0.9 behind Jason Short. Chris Butt exiting pits on softs. The race dictator is P2, 4.4 behind Todd. YH8 Racing is P4 on softs, 4.8 behind Jason Short. Jason Short was 4.0 faster last lap. The race dictator on lap 10 is P2. YH8 Racing is 4th. Best lap is a 1:15.027. 1.386 off the fastest lap. The race dictator is P2, 4.6 behind Todd. Todd was 0.7 faster last lap. YH8 Racing is P4. The race dictator on lap 11 is second, 4.3 behind Todd. Jason Short is third. The race dictator is P2, 4.6 behind Todd. The race dictator was 0.8 faster last lap. Jason Short is P3. Best lap is a 1:13.593. Five minutes remaining in the session. The race dictator is second, 4.6 behind Todd. Jason Short on lap 13 is third. The race dictator is second. Best lap is a 1:13.718. 0.125 off the fastest lap. Jason Short on lap 13 is third. The race dictator is P2, 4.3 behind Todd. Jason Short is P3. The race dictator is P2, 4.9 behind Todd. Todd was 0.6 faster last lap. Jason Short is P3. The race dictator is P2. Jason Short is P3. The race dictator is P2, 4.8 behind Todd. Jason Short is third. The race dictator from New Zealand is P2, 4.4 behind Todd. Jason Short is P3. The race dictator is P2, 3.5 behind Todd. The leader has just finished the race. Todd finished P1. The race dictator finished second. Jason Short finished P3. Chris Butt finished P5. YH8 Racing is P4. YH8 Racing finished 4th. Broadcast bot is P6.